Hey there YouTube, Jared here with Godhammer227. I wanted to come back and do a follow-up knife review for my first video that I put on this channel for the Schrade Sha3bs. Um, as you can see, a few things have happened, and I've owned this knife for quite a while now, used it extensively. As you can see by the paint, beating the hell out of it, and it's on both sides. It's pretty worn out, the paint. On the knife itself, there's... Oh, if it will focus. I don't know if my camera will focus. But I think you can see it right there. It's got some paint coming off right there on the back of the knife. It's got one big scratch going right across the blade, and that was actually my fault because I was shaving a, I think a skid at work, and I hit a nail and just grazed it. It didn't hit the blade, of course, but it did scratch the blade. My biggest problem with the knife right now, after using it for so long, I've dropped it a few times, which of course is my fault, but after dropping it a few times, the locking mechanism here, let me see if I can show you, it only goes up about halfway unless you really force it. And then it's twice as hard to bring it back down. Like, I had to really try to do that. But the speed of the blade has not changed at all when it comes out. As you can see, it's still lightning fast. So I like that. It's assist open system. The magic assist open system is still perfectly fine. The rubber insert that I had a problem with before, again, I hate that my camera won't focus, but it is fraying just a little bit more. Where it was before, I thought it was maybe, you know, some kind of, it didn't cut right out of the machine or whatever like that, but it has frayed a little bit more. But I don't see it being a problem because the rubber seems to be staying in very well. Whatever kind of glue or whatever they used in it, it works very well. It's still very solid in the handle, hasn't changed at all. It's just right there at the very end, which is already kind of a vulnerable spot for it. It's fraying a little more. The edge retention, I think I mentioned on that before that it wasn't super high carbon steel, so I didn't know how the edge was going to retain. I was completely dead wrong, because I have used this thing just about every day since I got it, and I've only sharpened it once. I actually sharpened it maybe a week ago, and it is still razor sharp. Here, I actually have piece of paper here that I use for my tobacco. Try and get you a demonstration. So as you can see, this thing sliced that's just clean cut. I mean, there's no fraying, there's no tearing. It was just one solid clean cut. So that blade stays sharp for a long time. Easy to sharpen. I think I used a whetstone, not a sharpening stone, and I sharpened it no problem in maybe 15 minutes. But I'm very kind of methodical about how I sharpen my knives, so it might have taken me longer than it takes some other people, but that's just how I do it. One other thing, someone asked in my last video, someone left a comment asking if there was any play in the knife. Now, of course, they didn't say play in what, but if they meant in the blade, play in the blade, this blade is solid. There is no movement in this blade at all. So, once that liner lock is in there, there is no moving it. Absolutely. It is solid as a rock, and it is just awesome that way. I mean, I have never had a fear of it closing on my hand, never had a problem with maybe it slipping or the liner lock coming undone. In fact, here's another problem that I've run into. The liner lock will overlock itself. Like, it will slide off to the side of the blade, and it makes it very, very hard to push back. And in fact, I've had to use my teeth a few times just because it was so hard to push back. But that, I don't find that a problem, because I feel that that's a little over safe. You know, it was kind of opportune, actually, because I popped it open and it overlocked, and then I dropped it, of course, because I always drop crap, landed like that, and it did not move. It landed straight on the back of the blade, and that's how it's got some of that scratching right there. And it was, I guess, kind of an over-safe mechanism. So that's another small problem that I have with it, is the liner lock will sometimes get over-locked. But I don't find it much of a problem. I just think that it's kind of an annoyance to have to try so hard to get it unlocked again. But hey, that's just a very small complaint compared to how great this knife has been. So all in all, this knife definitely worth, I think, what did I say, like 50 bucks? Yeah, definitely worth 50. I would pay 60 for it. I'd pay the full 65 that they were asking online. No problem. This knife has held up. It's been a great ownable knife. I mean, I loved it. Now, I've heard complaints that it doesn't have a glass breaker, that it doesn't have that little pointed tip on the end. But honestly, it's a heavy piece of freaking aluminum, and I think you could break a window with this thing. If you really had to, you could break a window with it. Now, I understand that it doesn't have the official glass breaker, that it's not, made for breaking glass, but it's a pretty heavy knife. It's got that, well, it's not really a point, but, it's rounded, it's solid, it's a solid piece of aluminum. Just crack a window with that, and I think it would break. Of course, I haven't tested that because I really don't have the money to replace a car window, but I think it could do it. You might have to try that for yourself, but I am not responsible for any damage to anyone's property because they saw this video. So, that's what I wanted to do. Just wanted to follow up with it and tell you how it held up over these past couple months, and gotta tell you, not disappointed. Alright guys, so leave me some comments on what you thought of the review and the follow-up, and I love to read comments. So, do all that fun stuff, like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.